Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar on data analytics in Excel. I'm Ankita from SpringPeople, India's largest enterprise training provider, and I'm really excited to be your moderator for this session. Today we are going to explore how Excel can make working with data easier, clearer, and even enjoyable. From identifying patterns to building visuals and understanding large data sets, Excel offers tools that help us work more efficiently and make better sense of our information. By the end of the session, you'll not only see how Excel makes data easier to handle, but also feel confident using it as a trusted partner to work smarter and make better data driven decisions. I'm thrilled to introduce our expert for today, Mr. Rahul Tandon. Rahul comes with over 26 years of experience in learning and development and has trained more than 15,000 professionals and freshers across technologies like Java, .NET, Python, SQL, AWS, and Azure. He's a certified ITIL, Prince2, MCTS.NET, and AWS Cloud expert. And what makes him really special is his ability to blend deep technical knowledge with a delivery style that's engaging, practical, and fun. Rahul has led L&D initiatives at companies like HCL, Atos, Mercer, and NIIT, and now works with organizations to build learning strategies that actually work for people. Now, just a quick note before we start. If you have any questions during the session, please type them into the question box. Rahul will address them in our Q&A segment at the end. And with that, let's get started. Over to you, Rahul.
Thank you, Ankita. Hello, everyone. I'm Rahul. Let's deep dive into how to do data analysis using Excel. We will be learning a bit of data analytics, how we can do data analytics, what are the key things that we have to remember, and how this could be done with Excel. Now, the key topics to be covered over here are a brief introduction on data analytics, what are the different types, how is the life cycle, what we have to take care of when we have to deal with cleaning the data, and finally ending up with some visualization strategies and techniques that we can apply. Since this is a 1 hour webinar, so I might not be going deep dive into each and everything, but I will give you an overview of all these pointers. So to start off with, introduction to data analytics. Now, from a definition point of view, we can say a data analytics involves examining data sets, the different data that we get, to draw a conclusion about the information that they contain. It is also crucial for making improved decisions in various fields, such as businesses, healthcare, sports, etc. So in current world where we are always dealing with data, so this, if we talk about business, the data analysis will help us identifying the market trends, what is there, how we can leverage to make sure that we are also competing with the competitors depending on whatever is the market trend. Similarly, it helps us understand what is customer preference. If we talk about healthcare, there is a lot of advancement going over there in the healthcare field, where a data analytics helps predicting the patient, the current state, how it will move ahead, what are the different improvements in the treatment that can be implemented. Based on the previous data, we can analyze and do those improvements within the patient treatment plan. Similarly, in sports, I remember clearly recently we have seen an advertisement of Lenovo AI capability implemented, which talks that Bumrah how different angle he can implement in his bowling to make sure it is more lethal. So all these techniques are currently going on. It all depends on the previous data that we have and how we do analysis out of that data and what are the key things that we can learn and implement to improve things. So the key things that we have currently in the market: data analytics, data science, and business intelligence. And inclusive of all this come out to be AI. So if we talk about data analytics, as I said, it gives us the analysis on the historical data that we have. The data science talks about implementing scientific methods, processes, and algorithms to extract knowledge and insight from the data, which we can take insights from that data to build models which would help us implementing AI and machine learning. BI, which is business intelligence, help us analyze the data in terms of it gives us tools. Like Excel is one of them. Then we have Tableau. Then we have Power BI. We have Informatica. Different tools are there with the help of which we can represent the data, and we can represent the data in such a way that it becomes meaningful for the management or higher authorities to understand if there are some gaps, what are the areas where we can work on to improve so that the business goes next level. So nowadays, if you see, data analytics has been key thing, whether it is data science, whether it is business intelligence, whether it is machine learning or AI, everywhere that analysis has to be done. So this is one of the key things which is there in the market, with the learning which we will be able to position ourselves well to get a better opportunity or move ahead in our career. So if we take an example, imagine a retail company wants to understand its sales performance over the past year. So I have the data of last year that in my retail company that we have achieved. So the first thing that we'll have to do is we have to gather the data from different stores or online platform of this duration. Once we gather the data, we have to clean that up because there could be different formats where a store has gathered, where an online platform has gathered. So giving you a simple example, could be a possibility in a store where we maintain a software which might have just a name of the customer. Whereas if we move on to online platform, there must be a name divided into first name and second name. So when we collate these two data, the number of fields are not common among them. So we have to implement some technologies to make sure the data is clean and it is in a proper format before we club them together. This is one of the examples that we can take on cleaning the data. Next thing is analyzing the data. So when we say analyzing the data, as I said, using some statistical methods to identify the trends, such as which product sold much better as compared to which project was not sold that much. What are the different time duration where some product was sold on a higher number? All these types of analysis will help me prepare how much quantity of particular product I should procure in the coming year, or what is the trend that people are looking for. If there is some specific product that they are asking which we do not have, we would like to introduce that in near future. All these types of things will come out when we do some analysis on our past data. Now, when we do that analysis, we have to present that visually in visualizing the data. So we create charts, we create graphs, which can present the findings in an easier way, understandable format. Now, when we talk about chart, generally what we have is we have line chart, bar chart, column chart, pie chart. These are some common things that we generally use. But I would like to emphasize on, before you convert them into a chart, you have to realize what you want to depict from that data. Based on that, the choice of chart will be different. And sometimes not a single chart might be giving you that output which you want to deliver. So you have to improvise on that chart. So if you see, like if I talk about a simple bar chart or column chart, which might not be efficient, but if you improvise that, combining 2 or 3 different types of chart, that will give you a better output and a meaningful output through that visualization that you want to deliver. We'll see with some example what I want to say and how we can implement on that. The next one is making decision. Once you visualize that in front of management or in front of stakeholders, they are going to gather some insight from those visualization. Based on that, they can decide and take some meaningful decisions how to improve on their business, whether it is a regular business or a retail business or healthcare or sport activities. So analysis, as I said, is currently in every field, and that helps us improve on the areas where we can find some gaps. Now we talk about the different types of data analytics. So 4 different types which are major in data analytics. One is descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prospective. Let's start with descriptive. As the name suggests, it talks about what happened. Describe. So what happened is It focuses on summarizing and interpreting the historical data to understand what actually happened over a period of time. So when we say last 1 year, I want to gather the data, I want to find out what happened, which month I had a better sale, which month I had a lower sale. All these things can be descriptive to define how my sales went on if you are talking about a retail business. The next type is diagnostic. This talks about why did it happen. Now, when we say we have got the data, let's say in every last month of the quarter, March, June, September, December were the month where my sales dipped. So the next step I have to understand is why did it happen? So diagnostic analysis aims me to understand the reason behind that event that occurred. If some particular period the sales had dipped down, what is the reason why it went down is what will give me through diagnostic analysis. Next one is predictive. Predictive, as the name suggests, predicted for the future. So this will tell me what will happen. Now this comes with implementing certain things from the past data. From the historical data, we will be able to, if we are able to implement some statistical methods, put some models, put some functionality to forecast the future event. Then we tell that we are predicting based on the previous data. I'm predicting that 2-3 months in next year will be the top sale period of my whole financial year. What we should do to make sure that in that period I am able to fulfill all the requirement which a particular person has or a customer has. So this type of analysis is predictive. And the next one is perspective, which talks about that what should be done. Now, as we have identified that what are the areas where a particular sale will boom, the next step talks about to handle that boom in the sales, what needs to be done. So that is what is perspective. It talks about a recommendation of actions that we should do. Let's say 3 months in last year were the peak period. So I should identify, I should have more salespeople within my sales team. I should have more people who can handle that larger crowd. I should have more product where the sales goes more up. So all these types of decisions to be taken depending on what should be done so that our improvement is there year on year or month by month. So these four types of analysis is what we generally do. Next one talks about the life cycle. As I said initially also, these were the key things that we have to deliver. So first one is totally depend on how we collect the data. So this is the first step in doing any data analytics, that it involves gathering the data from various sources. It could be online portal, it could be database, it could be sensor. Nowadays, even the data from things like Facebook, Twitter, all those are collected just to understand what the customer is looking for, just to understand. Like you must have seen when you go visit on a Amazon.com mostly or Netflix, they generally recommend based on your past selection. So that collection of data is always continuously over there, depending on which customer is looking for which product. We keep on collecting that data. That Rahul in last 1 month has looked upon for iPhone at least 10 days. So I will keep, next time when he logins, I will give him information. Next iPhone is launching in September 2025. So that is another strategy being created based on what I'm looking for. And that will only happen if I'm able to collect that data on a regular basis. So collection of data is very important. Next thing is cleaning the data. Now, when I say cleaning the data, because we want to do the analysis, we have to make sure that data is correct. There is no duplication in the data. There is no missing value, and there is no irregularity in the data. So we have to do data cleaning. This is a major step in our data analytics, because if the data is not cleaned properly, analysis will not go well, outcome will not go proper, and the decision making will affect. So if my data analysis is not correct, my decision making might also go wrong, and data analysis will totally depend on how much accurate my data is. That happens with data cleaning. Data analysis is implementing some techniques, some computational functions, some models over there on the data, which identify the trend, pattern, relationship, and tell me this is what has happened. Now I can take decisions. Now, if I'm not at that level when I have to take a decision, I will have to make it into a visualization, which nowadays is also combined with storytelling. We also see a lot many people talk about storytelling is very important, because just creating graph is not enough. How to convert that graph into such a mode that the management where I'm presenting my data should be able to understand this is what does it mean is also important. So visualization is finding out chart, graphs, or other visual things which will make my data speak. My data makes sense. That is what the visualization comes up. And decision making after that, based on the output that we get out of that visualization, the decision making becomes easy for the management or the heads to improve based on applying how to solve the problems if there are, and how to improve on with the current strategy, so that next year when I'm planning much better and achieving higher goals. So key tools that we use, one is Excel, that obviously we'll be covering up. Then we also have SQL or other databases which also help us doing query out of the data. And as I said, we also have Power BI, Tableau type of tools which help us creating visualization much easier and much more effective. I know Power BI and visualization, Tableau and other visualization tools are more easier to implement, but not at every level that is implemented. That's why Excel still is the topmost analytical tool or storing data or visualization technique being implemented through Excel still. Next, we move on to how to clean the data. So as I said, cleaning is very important. Why? Because it will have an impact on analysis accuracy. So if data cleaning makes things more accurate and reliable, without proper cleaning, the data may contain error, inconsistency, and it may not give you the correct result. If it does not give me the correct result, I might not come up with a correct decision. What could be the impact? What could be the key things which makes my data incorrect? Is missing values. I can assure that if you pick up any data from any tool, there must be at least 1, 2, 5, 10, 15 rows, depending on the size of data, that will have some missing values. There could be a possibility of a duplicate value also, and outliers. Now, when we say missing values, how do we identify the missing values? One way is that you can find out if the data is small. You can put a filter and identify if the values are missing. To give an example, let's say if you have a data of a healthcare about a patient, and there the age is missing in few of the records, then it will affect my accuracy of the output. If my output is dependent on age related. I want to say patient which are less than 24 year of age has some possibility of this disease. Patient with more than 50 years of age have some possibility of this disease. But if my data is having 20% data missing on age, then my output will never be accurate, because there are 20% data on age which is missing. So that is very key thing that we have to check and implement. How do we do that? We can do with the help of imputation. Yeah, imputation, which is taking out mean, median, or mode depending on the data. We can fix or put some values, which is the average value of that particular column, or we can delete or drop the rows or column if they are not that much required, or it will not make a huge difference on my output. Let's say I have 5 lakh rows, out of which if 2 rows I have to drop, it will not make that much of difference. Again, it will depend on if those 2 are the key rows, then I cannot drop them. I will have to find out to fill at least that value with some means of taking out mean, median, or mode, or average, whatever gives me some accuracy within that data. Removing duplicates again is the key things. If I am fetching a data from 4 different locations, let's say I'm at the head office, I have to collect the data from 4 different regions, and within that region there is some duplicacy in the data. I cannot simply blindly just put all the data together and convert that into a table or a pivot, I will have to first look upon, by any chance, if there is something which is duplicating, by any chance, if there is some employee data which is getting duplicated, we will have to remove that data. Because duplicacy, if I have some rows getting duplicated, then I'm counting those rows double or triple depending on how many times that have been duplicated, which will obviously give me a wrong data. So I have to be very clear while cleaning the data that I have to identify if there is some duplicacy in the data and put some means to remove that duplicacy. Outliers are the key things where my value is totally out of range. To give you a simple example, if I'm using a credit card and on my regular basis, let's say 10,000 is a 10 to 12,000 is a limit in my on my credit card that I spend. But at a sudden month, if that suddenly I spend 2.5 lakh through my credit card, then obviously bank will have a doubt on that. That how come a person who always use 10,000, 12,000 never go beyond that suddenly put a 2,50,000 rupees? Then they will try to connect with the customer to understand if that has been used by the customer or somebody else has used it, because they deduct there could be a possibility of card being lost, somebody is misusing it or something like that. So whenever an outlier comes, we have to be very careful. So even within our data, if there is an outlier, we have to identify no, again, identifying the outliers. There could be some statistical method also like IQR, which talks about uh, internal quartile range, or Z-score, which help us identify which are the values which are beyond the range, either on the lower side or on the higher side, and we can take the decision accordingly how to remove or modify that outlier. We'll see this how we can look upon and implement this also in our data. The next one is the standardization and normalization. The normalization generally goes with databases that we do, where we try to divide the data in such a way that it is not having repetitive data on a regular basis. Standardization we talk about when we have a particular criteria that when we want to maintain across the column. A simple example could be if I am trying to find out the height of individuals from different locations and we put a survey. Some people might put it over there in centimeters, some might put it over there in feet and inch. So when we combine it, we have to make sure that we have to make it a standard. Either we put all the data in centimeters or we convert everything in foot and inch. That is what is a standardization we are talking of. And finally, data type conversion that generally goes in numbers and date format. Date is the very common thing where if we pick up a data from different locations or different centers or different online portals or databases, higher possibility is the type of date that they select is different from the other one. So whenever we are implementing some data or combining it, we have to make sure that date format or a numeric format should be common across all the data. So these are some techniques that we have to implement before we move into analyzing, just to make sure that when we analyze the data or system analyzes the data for us, it should be proper. I hope I'm able to make things clear. Now the next one is visualization. As we all know, visualization, whenever we talk about creating some visuals. So visualization will help us present the data in such a way that it's easier to understand. So communicating insight effectively, as I said, that the graph or the chart that we choose should be good enough to pass on the message that we want to pass, give on the insight of the data that we want to develop, and make sure that it communicates the insights effectively. The next one is choosing the right chart for the data. Now, as I said, that generally we go upon selecting a table and choosing a chart, which sometimes does not predict what actual output we want to predict or showcase. In that case, we have to make sure that we modify our chart in such a way that the whatever insight we want to deliver is delivered. Some of the common chart that we use are bar chart, line chart, pie chart, scatter chart, and tree maps. So bar chart, everybody knows we have used to compare the discrete categories. Line chart is ideally to show trends across a particular duration. It could be days, month, or year. Pie chart is generally used to showcase a proportionate or a percentage of a whole 100% or 100 number. A scatter chart, I remember we used to see this scatter plot chart when we watch cricket match where the average of a particular person, team versus team, how much earlier the team has scored and what is the current score that is going on is very effectively shown with the help of a scatter chart. Tree map is another new thing which shows a matrix grid where we are showing some numbers which have a higher number and lower number depending on the size that we want to showcase. I'm just going through with the presentation first, then we'll do some hands-on to understand how we implement all these. And at the end, you have to make sure that we have to keep it simple whenever we create visualization, make it readable. It should not be very catchy. It should not be very colorful. As we see the colors over here, this is not the way we should put it over there on our charts. We should use appropriate colors and label and avoid misleading visuals so that it should not be so clumsy. It should not be implementing so many things that a person is not able to understand what you want to show. So keeping this, let's move on to Excel to understand all the aspect one by one. So this is the first thing that we want to show. We have a data of employee name, department, and salary. Now I want to find out total salary, count, and average salary. First thing is we want to find out the department. So I can go to data, do some validation, pick a list. So here comes a drop down which will help me technical or HR. Total salary, I will say I will make use of sum if, where this is the range which I have to select. This is the criteria and my sum range is this. Similarly, I can do count if. This is my range and this is my criteria. So it gives me 11 technical people are there and 4 HR people are there. So if I find out the average salary, I will say total salary divide by 4. So average salary for HR is 80,000. So if I pick HR from there, 80,750, correct? This is the average. If I pick technical from there, it gives me 10 lakh. But if you see average is talking about 10 lakh, but actually most of the people have an average of 1,35,000 only. You see? So why this has come? Because there is one outlier. The CEO, who is also mentioned as technical, having much way higher salary as compared to the rest of the employee. So if we remove this from there, you see the average salary comes down to 1,35,000. So this is how you have to identify is the output that we are trying to find out. Is it actually correct or not? If there is some outlier, we should try to avoid that outlier so that it should not impact on what we want to show. So if we show this to our management, they will surely get a shock. How come the average salary of our company is 10 lakh when most of the people are getting in 1 lakh, 1,25,000? So this data is not correct. So in that case, we have to remove that outlier. So as we learned that outlier should be identified, we have to do that. Same way, if I have, let's say, if I pick this, I try to put the same thing over here. Here, the sum if would be a bit different. I have to say sum if. This is my range, comma, this is there, salary. And same way, count if. Now, since I have a duplicate value, the count of people is showing much more than what we actually have. HR is showing 7, where actually HR are there only 4. So we have to identify. How do I identify if there is some duplicate value? I go to conditional formatting and find a duplicate value. So this tell me what is the range where the duplicate value is existing. Then we should find out some move to delete those duplicate values. So as we said that outliers and duplicate values are key things when we have to find out the data cleaning process. Once we are able to clean the data, we'll get the actual result which we have to utilize for next year predictions and so on. Next, we talk about visualization. So if this is a chart where I have to show temperature versus ice cream, as there is different temperature in the city, the sale of ice cream is moving up and down. So if I try to show this with the help of, let's say, bar, it will not, column, it will not make any sense to me because the temperature is very less in number, whereas sales is very big in number. If I try to implement this with a pie chart, that will not go well. So we have to identify how we can present this better. So one way is making use of scatter chart. So this shows on both the lines X and Y axis. This is where it has taken temperature. This is where it has taken ice cream sale. So as the temperature is increasing, the sale of ice cream is also increasing. This is a nice way of representing this data. So again, it depends what type of data you have to show, how you show it so that it becomes more meaningful. As I said, this is also very important. So let's see on the same front, if I have to represent this data where I have few labels, we have few departments, count of employees within those departments. It is easy to showcase this with the help of chart, column chart, because this will easily show for each department what is the count at different level, how many L1, how many L2, how many L3 are there. But if we have the similar data in terms of product sales, that which product being sold over there on which month, which was the month where product 1 was a higher on sale or lower, this could also go. But if we show it with the help of a line graph, it will have a better understanding. Column will also work, but this shows a better way of how the sales has dipped, how it has increased, how it has dipped again. This will show it in a better way as compared to column. Here is the total sales being shown over there from January to August. Now, since it is only one value, one column value, I will not be able to, if you show it with the line graph, it will not be that effective. So in this case, we would recommend to use pie chart. So this way, if we implement this pie chart, let's say, yeah, and I don't want the legend. So this way you are able to show which month data it is and how much percentage the sales is there for each month. This is a better representation as compared to a line chart when there is only one column. So again, it depends on what type of data you want to show and how it is shown over there. So if this is the data about the scores of individual students, if we keep on showing this in a line or a bar or a column, it will be a huge graph. I'm only talking about what 20 students. If it goes beyond 100, it will be more difficult. So what we do is we try to club that data, scores of 40 difference, and find out how many comes within that bracket. Now, if we show this, there's another option called recommended chart, which tells you based on the data. Now, if I pick it like this, so 20 to 30, less than 40, it is 3, less than 60, between 40 and 60, it's 5, 60 and 80 is 5. So this is a better representation as compared to a line, bar, or pie chart graph. Pie chart will also work over here better. Now let's do something different. This is a population which I found as per yesterday. for Maharashtra, Rajasthan, everywhere. Now, if we have to showcase this data, I have, yeah, this will show it better. It shows it, what it does is it has a area map sort of thing, which as the number of, as the population is number is higher, the bigger the area space that it collects. We can also showcase it with the help of, let's say, labels. So then I don't need this. I can simply remove the label. Oh, sorry, the legends. So this will show that the name as well as the value along with that. And it clearly depicts which is the biggest one, which are quite similar or equal, how it is going down, which is the lowest number of population it has. So again, as I said, depending on what type of data we want to present, we can pick and choose the different type of graphs. Another implementation in terms of, sorry, I want to show, yeah. This is data. Now over here, if we see, there is something which is missing. Same way, there is something where I might have incorrect data. Say if I pick age, everything is correct. If I pick gender, there is something as none. I will have to pick gender. So let's say I make it male. So make that clearance, or you can remove that value also if it is not making too much difference. Similarly, purchase item, one of them is blank. I can clearly see this is about electronics. So you can find out within Hyderabad, if people pick up electronics, what is the average? Average is 2,761. So I can put that value 2,761. So this will not have an impact on my data because I'm taking the average value which is there. So this could be one of the way where how do you clear the data? The missing values could be printed, the irrelevant value could be added. All those stuff we can do. Now let's do these four things. Payment method wise, I want to find the total purchase. Product category wise, total purchase. Location wise, gender and location wise. So what we'll do is, as we all know, we generally make use of uh, pivot table. So I will say insert pivot. Okay. So the first pivot we want to make it for payment method. So I will say payment method. So here, what we'll do is we'll bring the payment method in rows and find out the purchase amount. Simple. Four different methods, those values. Let's make it round off. Then the best way how we can represent this could be in terms of, now by the way, in pivot table, also you get a pivot chart where you can choose. So I want to choose pie chart for that. I don't want this to be shown. I want the values also. Since I have put over there, I don't want this. And this is payment method wise purchase. My first task is done. Next one is product category wise total purchase. Again, I will go there. And I will say insert pivot table, a new field. This has to be product category. So I bring the product category in rows, purchase amount in values. Same thing to be repeated. Go back to design, sorry, analyze, choose pivot chart. This time Let's choose bar chart. Now, there was one more point where we are saying that we should not have very flashy color. So it means that you should not choose something like this, that I have all the flashy colors in the word being implemented one by one. This doesn't make your presentation, until unless it is the presentation for children where you want them to make happy with different colors, then it is a different case. Otherwise, you should avoid doing things like this. Let me add some values also. Now you see, when I'm putting some colors, this is a place where things are not going well. So I'll have to make sure that I make them white. If I make them white, then this is not visible. So you have to be very careful while choosing colors. Okay. Now this was for product wise purchase. Okay. The next one, this is also done. Next one is location wise purchase. So this time I will use a shortcut. Insert out. I put it location. So here I bring location, purchase amount. Do the same thing. Go to analyze, pivot chart. What next I could take to make it look better? I'll take this one. Okay. And finally, we have two categories, gender and location wise. Insert pivot. Okay. I want to choose gender. Along with the gender, I also want location. And then I want purchase amount. So gender wise, at which location things are going or sold at a better number could be seen over here. Now to showcase this, what we can do is we can say insert. Yeah. So for females, there is a different category. Here we can use color coding just to make sure that we can make a slight difference for female and male in different colors. This could be a wise way of presenting the female data different from the male data. But otherwise, for different products, it doesn't look nice. So gender wise. Now we have created these four different things. Now let's try to organize all these over there in a single sheet so that my representation of all the data should be nice. For that, what we do is we create a new sheet and make this as dashboard. The first thing that we have to do is we have to put some title. In March, we'll say sales dashboard. We put some color. Yeah. Now I want to highlight this, make this also one. Then we'll try to pick things one by one. This is payment, where it went, dashboard. I'll bring it over here. Now one more thing, where you're creating a dashboard, always try that you should remove the grid line so that background becomes white. Or in some colors you want to implement that, you can add that also. This also I will pick and paste it here. Payment came, product came, location. Let location also come. You might have to reduce the size just to make sure it fits. Yeah. And finally, the gender data. So just to stop this, which is coming again and again, what we'll do is we'll remove this, and so that it fits within our range. Another thing I want to do is I want to make this, yeah, now it looks better. Everything is visible. Now I have left some space over here. What I will try to do is I will try to add some visualization slicer over here. So merge it. Now what we can do is we go to one of the chart. In the pivot chart, I have an option called insert a slicer. I insert a slicer. What I want is I want it through gender, location, and method, or even category. So 4 things have come. We can also, if we want, we can change this into different colors. So this is again, it totally depends on your placement, how you want to design your dashboard. I want to design it like this. So I'm picking and choosing up the different things that I want to show. Now, if you don't know what is a slicer, it's like a filter which helps me filter the data from my different dashboards, different charts that I have created within my dashboard. It's again like a filter, what we put it over there on our table, but the only difference is this helps us drive through this uh, data in my presentation when I have to showcase everything. Yeah, space crunch, so I will have to move a bit. Don't worry, this is all designing techniques that you have to implement. Correct. I'll make this as green. Okay. So now you have a data, you have some slicer. If you want to find out for female, you see only one is moving, not all of them. So what we have to do is you have to select slicer, to go there and use report connection. Choose the connection and then you will say my slicer should work for all the pivot tables that have been used on this dashboard. I click on OK. Same thing I have to do it for second slicer. Move to report connection. Choose it one by one, all 4 of them. Repeat the activity for the remaining 2 slicers also. And the last one. Now if you see, if I choose female, all the data is converted to the data related to female. Bangalore, Chennai. I can select 2 also, 3 also. Only books, clothing, electronic. So every time I'm picking up things, it's getting changed. So this way I can build a dashboard from the data that we have done. Now this is the way you present and you make management of the group understand what should be done to make sure the things improve on. I would like to go and showcase few of the things which we can learn if we go for a full day course. on different chart techniques and visualization. You see, we have already seen bar chart and line chart, but then making it more attractive in terms of cylindrical or a cone. Same way, if I have a data of a stock being changed up and down, if I want to represent this, if I say insert a line graph, you should understand, is this better or this better? I think this is better, where I'm saying the stock is at that level. On one particular day it improved, on one particular day it decreased, and one particular day it improved. Instead of saying it was improving on continuous basis or decreasing on continuous basis, this is not the correct way of representing your stock. This is the way. Scatter, we already see how the run rate goes up and down for two different teams from 1 to 50th over. That we already seen in different cricket matches. Sales data, if I have individuals on a daily basis, I find out how many products they have sold, and on weekly basis what is the outcome. If we have to show this, a simple bar graph might not be effective, but a column chart like day-wise data and weekly data combined together will be an effective way of showcasing. This is again same column chart, but with some modification. Conditional formatting. If I have conditional formatting, we have already seen in our tables, but if I have some tasks being associated with a group of people, some of them have completed some tasks and some are pending. My target was that everybody should achieve at least 50% of their task. How do I represent it? This way, conditional formatting implemented on chart. People who have received less than 50% are shown as red. Rest of all are being shown as green. If I have a data where I have to represent 3 different individuals in my team, criteria I have fair, poor, good, very good. I have a target and the actual what they have achieved. If we try to implement all this on a single graph or chart, it might not look good. But if we present it like this, that these are the criterias 50, 70, 90, 100. The different categories: poor, fair, good, very good. Blue bar is my actual and red is my target. So I'm able to showcase everything over there, and we are able to deliver or make the people understand who have not been able to achieve the target, who have overachieved the target. Easy way to represent. Same way, if I have a budget versus actual for the whole year, I have to present that. If I put it over there in simple bar chart, generally people show it, showcasing that, what are the months where we have overshoot beyond the budget or not. But you tell me, is this better or is this better? Where I'm also able to show which are the red areas where the spend was more than the budget, which are the areas where the spend was less than the budgeted amount. So green means I have actually spent less than the budgeted amount. Red are the months where I have overspent, went against my budget, and the actual spend was way ahead from my budgeted amount. A progress bar could be another good thing to represent the data of individuals, how much they have achieved, along with the graph being shown over there. And not the least, this is the last one, which we talk about, a speedometer showing how much value. There we can put a VLOOKUP to find out on individuals if they have achieved 55%, how to showcase that, if they have achieved 75%, if they have achieved 35, all these to be showcased with the help of a speedometer. These are again different ways of representing the similar type of charts which are available, but adding something additional to modify it so that my visualization makes more appealing and makes more meaningful. Person can understand this is the gap. Here was the target and I have reached till here. This is the gap which my person was not able to achieve. This is the variance which talks about whether I'm going in a positive way or a negative way in terms of spend. So going with that, this is all that we could learn or cover. If you want, we can also go ahead with, you can register yourself with different trainings that are available for Spring People. Two of them are mentioned over there. You can choose data analytics, you can choose business analytics, and you can go ahead with that.
Firstly, thank you so much, Mr. Rahul, for that really engaging and insightful session. I hope this session gave you some clarity and maybe even inspired a few new ways to work with Excel. Now, for anyone who wants to dive deeper into data analytics in Excel, Spring People has virtual instructor-led training batches you can join from home. They are flexible, practical, and designed to fit your schedule. Now, if you don't find a batch that works, we can also arrange to private sessions. And if live sessions aren't convenient, our self-paced courses are a great option too. For more information, feel free to reach out to us at training@springpeople.com or call the number you see on your screen. Now, thank you again so much to everyone who joined us today. Your time and participation really mean a lot. And about the webinar session, the recording, we'll be sending out them to your registered email soon. So keep an eye on your inbox. And before you leave, it would be amazing if you could share your valuable feedback. It will really help us make us these sessions even better and ensure we keep delivering learning that actually helps you. On behalf of all of us at Team Spring People, thank you once again. It's been a pleasure hosting you, and we can't wait to see you at our next expert webinar. Until then, take care, keep learning, and goodbye.